order. This is the Tennessee Board of Licensing Contractors meeting, September 24th, 2019. We'll do a quick roll call to get things started. Start with Reese.
Reese Smith, Franklin.
Jerry Hayes, Paris.
Andy Allen, Knoxville.
Randy Chase, Nashville.
Keith Whittington, Johnson City.
Mark Rudd, Knoxville.
All right. First thing we need to do is adopt the agenda.
Make a motion, we adopt the agenda.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. The hardships, we need to approve the hardships.
I'll move for approval of the
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? The minutes, we're going to put that off to the next meeting, right, Carolyn?
Right, the court reporter got sick right after the meeting, so we're hoping to have these in a couple of weeks.
Okay. All right, moving on to license approvals. We have a bunch of waived approvals or waived files. Can we get a motion to approve those?
So moved.
second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Interviews. Start with Reese. You have some interview folks
Yes.
here, Reese?
File number 73929, PFHC Enterprises. It's a new application, and he had been doing construction work over the limit, and he agreed, and I move that we fine him $250 and grant his license. CMC.
Okay. We'll wait till the end, maybe approve them all. Jerry, do you have any?
I didn't have
Any?
Yes, I have one, file number 55534, Steve Ogle. He was requesting to increase his monetary limit, and due to 2 indictments that are pending on him right now, I denied that request.
Okay. All right, I don't have any to bring forward. You have any?
I didn't have any.
Mark?
I've got 3 of them, actually. First one is a company called Green and Lofty. File number 73695. Applying for a BCAB with a $1.5 million limit. They have flipped some houses without another contractor, licensed contractor involved. So I'm proposing a fine of $500 in order to issue their license. Second one is E3. They are currently licensed with a $500,000 limit. And we're applying for an increase. Turned in some experience that showed they've done some construction in excess of $500,000. I'm proposing that we issue a fine for $1,000 and grant them their increase, which will be to unlimited. The third one is not actually a license application. It was a question about the classification he could go for. He does dry stone walls, which we don't have a classification for. And I'm recommending that we issue him a license with a specialty of dry stone walls, which would be a new classification.
Would that not be considered masonry?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought, but he doesn't work with mortar. It's just dry stack, and it's a specialty that he doesn't want to be classified as a mason. He doesn't want to do any masonry work other than dry stacked walls. I'm okay creating a separate category for it. These walls are about 3 foot high, and they're just dry stack type walls. They're not structural or anything.
As long as it's not structural, I agree with you.
He's from England. same kind of walls they build over in England, separating properties. He's brought that specialty to the U.S.
Ronnie, glad you could join us.
Thank you. Appreciate being here, y'all.
You go ahead and state your name and.
I'm Ronnie Tickle from Memphis, Tennessee.
All right. Did you have some interviews as well?
I have one. It's license 50516. This gentleman was applying to increase his license from $140,000 to $1 million. He had 4 complaints against it. Well, not complaints, but going over the limit. And his reasoning by going over limits, he didn't take in consideration the lot, real estate commission, all the finance and everything, so he didn't think he went over the limit. But he did. And so there was 4, I found $250 a piece, $1,000 if he agreed to it, and he understands. And I say he's fine. We got all kinds of good recommendations on the work he does, so it's just, he didn't know what's going on.
Right. Okay. Is that the only one you have?
Yeah, that's the only one I have. I'd like to approve him subject to.
Okay. All right, having heard all those, we have a motion to approve the interviewed contractors.
So moved.
Second.
No motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. What about revisions? Can we get a motion to approve the revisions?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Andy, what about the LLEs?
So I had several here. 52094 expired 13 years ago, so I denied that and asked him he needs to take a test. 22512, 48215, 20897, 45657, 40550, and 53812. Approved.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the LLEs as presented by Andy?
Motion.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. All right, the limited licensed plumbers, there's a list on your iPad of all those. There were several that retook the test. They're obviously fine, and then there were 4 that I approved based on their, submitted applications and the reasons for asking for a waiver. That was number 3054, 4030, 4032, and 4035. So I recommend that we approve those.
Motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Home improvement. Do we have any home improvement ones?
Make a motion, we approve the home improvement applications.
All right, we have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, move on to the legal report. Let's start with commercial, or residential.
That's fine. Starting with number 3, 2019-05-4911. Recommendation was for discussion and decision is placed in litigation monitoring. Number 5, the decision of 2019-05-3511. The decision is to close that complaint. Number 12, 2019-04-1571. The decision there is to refer to the servicing district attorney. Number 34, 2019-05-3541. Decision there is to recommend a $2,500 civil penalty. Number 38, 2019-06-8691. Decision there is to go with a $5,000 civil penalty. 46, 2019, 061201. Recommendation is to, or the decision is to go with a $5,000 civil penalty. 47, 2019, 04, 4861. Decision is to go with a $2,000 civil penalty. Number 49, 2019, 05, 0791. Decision is to go with a $2,000 civil penalty. Number 50, 2019, 06, 6191. The reviewing member there had a had a decision as to counsel for the board getting in touch with the respondent and the complainant to discuss a possible resolution through contacting the manufacturing representative, sort of given the nature of this complaint. 51, 2019, 06, 0531. Recommendation there is to close, or the decision is to close. Number 54, 2019, 06, 0541. Decision was to go with a $5,000 civil penalty. 57, 2019, 05, 5491. Decision was to go with a $2,000 civil penalty. And 72, 2019, 02, 6021. Decision there is to go, this was a complaint that was back on for representing. The decision is to go with the original recommendation of a $10,000 civil penalty. I believe that takes care of the residential.
On 59, do you want to let the board know that the gentleman went to court?
I think that, see, that was that on for
Well, it's on 59.
for discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. And you might actually remind me what the what your decision was on that one.
The decision is the respondent in the complaint is gone to court. Respondent was fined $25,000, and this was about a month ago, and so he's lost that $25,000. And this whole thing has a lot to do with internet building. A person thinks he can get on the internet and learn how to build a house and tell the builder what to do, and the builder was following what his customer said and got him in a lot of trouble. So that's kind of how it is right now.
So I think the decision then, based on our discussion, was in light of the licensee's paying of the $25,000 judgment that was rendered in the civil litigation, will close and flag the complaint,
Right.
given sort of the complainant's history.
Yeah. Thank you.
Four, I guess. Okay. All right, the next 77, 2019, 05, 4271. Oh, okay, 75, 2019, 05, 3531. Decision there is to revoke the license in addition to $2,500 civil penalty. Okay. Now on to 77, 2019, 05, 4271. The decision was to go with a $500 civil penalty. The 79, 2019, 060251. Correction, number 80, 2019, 055481. Recommendation is to close and flag. 83, 2019, 045271. The decision was to go with a $1,000 civil penalty. Number 88, 2019, 060951. Decision is to go with a $4,000 civil penalty. Number 98, 2019, 061831. Decision is to go with a $750 civil penalty. Number 99, 2019, 055011. Decision is to go with a $500 civil penalty. 101, 2019, 043691. Decision is to go with a $1,000 civil penalty. I believe that concludes residential and home improvements.
So moving on to commercial. First one we have is, well, we don't have any commercials that changed. We did have a electrical and LLE one, which would be number 113, 2019-059-461. The decision was to go with the letter of warning on number 114, 2019-056-291. Authorize the assessment of a $2,500 civil penalty by consent order. Authorize charges for gross negligence. And that would be all of the electrical as well. We did have one more late addition to the home improvement ones. It's a case that's actually set for formal hearing this Friday, so we presented it based on some new facts that came forward. It would not be in front of the board, that's why I had some looks when instead of set for a hearing. It's case number 2016-075871. The new decision on this one was to just go ahead and close this case based on the respondent's age and his situation now.
Okay. Any questions or
Make a motion, we approve the legal report.
Second.
all right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right. Now we have a license issued with a similar name, or two companies with a similar name. Carolyn, do you want to talk about that, or Ashley's going to handle it?
I'm going to attempt to. Let me use this one. Go ahead. We've got a contractor that notified us where another contractor recently was granted a license by the board in a similar name as the one he already had. He went ahead and contacted the other contractor to let him know that's my name, and you're not supposed to have that name. And the contractor said, well, it's staying the same. So that's when he turned to us. I checked the file, and the contractor that obtained the license in a similar name, he did fill in his name right above it. There's a paragraph that just says name similarity, and it says to determine if another contractor is using a similar name, please check verify and search by contractor to prevent from having to apply for a name change. Because there's no way Kathy can go and check everyone to see if there's already a license in that name. So the contractor did sign that, and
and so I advised Carolyn to bring it to the board because the license has already been issued. This was on an application. Of course, we could deny it, but we've given them the license now. And with that license, the property right attaches to it, so we can't just take it from them. My suggestion to her to present to the board was that the board inform the second contractor that he needs to apply for a name change and maybe go from there, because at this point we don't necessarily have any violations under the second name. We just have been informed that there is a very similarly named company as the original contractor.
Is it a misspelling?
What are the
or-
names?
No, one is an LLC and one is an Inc.
And that's the only difference in the names.
And then, one of them also had a DBA with the initials, and the one that took the similar name, he's using those initials as well, even though he doesn't have that registered as the same name with the Secretary of State. So he's actually taken the DBA name too.
And using that as his company's logo.
Where, are they in similar cities or
They're
something?
in the
Same
same
county.
city.
Oh,
Was this intentional?
We don't know, but the second contractor that obtained the name, he has had licenses in 4 different names before. Right now, he's got 2 licenses and with 2 different names, so.
I think we probably assumed that it was intentional, but unfortunately, we don't have proof that it is. We don't have any type of evidence that would lead us to be able to
What's the
start
name, what's the
revocation
name of the
proceedings.
company?
I'm sorry?
What's the name of the company?
Can you give it to him?
I mean, it's not well right now.
Okay. It's Advanced Contractor Solutions LLC, and then the other one is Advanced Contractor Solutions, Inc.
And what city?
in what city?
Memphis.
Of course.
Since he falsified the application, can we not require him to change his name?
Oh, wait, no, that's the paper.
Andy's got a good question.
I'm sorry.
Since he falsified the application, can we not require him to change his name?
He didn't
Well,
falsify.
that's the issue. He didn't falsify. I think he indicated what he wanted the name of his company to be.
But he signed that he looked it up and there were no other similar names.
Well, he didn't necessarily, there's not an acknowledgement spot there. It is a suggestion. It says before you write this thing down, check verify so that you don't have to apply for a name change. It doesn't say I acknowledge that I searched verify. That's not a part of the
I thought on
application.
the electronic form it was.
On the electronic, yeah,
Who
No, he did a paper.
who are the people?
he did a paper form, but electronically, yeah, they do have to
Yeah.
say I looked it up.
Who are the people? What are their names?
John Hubbard or Harbor and David Barkley.
I don't know. I'm just checking.
And so that's why,
There's an advanced plumbing and advanced electrical, so I know them.
Yeah.
and so, and like I said, because there's not an outstanding violation that we know of, we don't have firm evidence that it was intentional to try to trade on the good company name. I'm thinking statutorily, all we can do is send him a letter from the board saying you need to apply for a name change based on, everything that's been presented today. And then if he refuses to do that based on the board's letter, possibly go forward on failure to adhere to the board's instruction, and try to go at it that way. That's all I can think of unless the board has other suggestions.
Well, the second man needs to change his name, the first guy's already here.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Send a letter to the newer contractor that he needs to apply for a name change.
Then you need a motion from the board.
Yes.
I make the motion that the board attorney send a letter to the second applicant to change the name of the company to a completely different name.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that'd be great. Thanks, Ashley. Okay, moving on to the next item is the continuing education proposed rules for residential contractors.
Yeah, y'all had, whenever I got with you earlier, those are the ones on the revisions.
Yeah, the paper copy that you have has additional edits to the language that Carolyn and I have been working on for the continuing education rules.
And Susan Ritter is also here today, so if you have any questions, for her.
Or any further thoughts before we?
The one question I had earlier of you, and see if it can still get answered. If we attend OSHA training, will that count toward continuing education? I did not see that. I mean, I saw something about courses offered for environmental hazards,
Right.
but not limited to that, you know, radon, et cetera.
There's one that says, if it's offered by the state or federal government.
Well, these aren't really offered by the state or the federal government. They're requirements of your insurance carriers to
Carrier
Okay.
requires us to do that.
And so what I was explaining, in most cases, if it is not something that is specifically set out in a rule by the board, what would happen is that curriculum would be presented to the board. You all would evaluate it, see if it's relevant to the industry. If so, you can approve it for, I'm not sure if the class is an hour or 2 hours or however long.
most time it's 8-hour class.
However long the board sees fit, just present that curriculum, and then that could be an approved course that the board would list maybe on the state website, that this is an approved course that counts toward the continuing education. But that's usually done on a course-by-course or case-by-case basis.
On page 4, it does say, related courses include workplace safety. We could add OSHA.
I think you got it covered with workplace safety.
Workplace safety. Good deal.
Can only the qualifying agent take the courses?
I believe that's what we,
That's what we discussed last meeting.
decided.
So the owner of the company,
It's up to you all, if y'all want it to be, so the owner or the qualifying agent.
Right now, it says the qualifying agent,
Yeah.
and that's who holds the license, so,
well, he doesn't hold it individually.
no, but he holds the qualifications for the license, I guess, so the education
Yeah.
piece.
I'd seem like it get some pushback on that, but now, the qualifying agent might be an hourly wage earner.
Absolutely.
You want to have it so it's.
I think, I'm agreeing with Reese. I think either or.
Well, I started this as a question, and then we got
Okay,
a
well-
discussion out of it. Yeah, it just seems like it's gonna get some people honest, because some people have trotted in qualifying agents, and we accepted them at the time, and now they can't even probably find them.
Exactly. I think it's a good catch-all.
It's
If you
gonna-
do either or, the qualifying agent's the one responsible for the education of the company.
Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, the owner picked the qualifying agent, probably, right?
For sure.
He's designated, so maybe it's the qualifying agent or someone designated by the owner of the company, something like that. I don't know.
Same, yeah, your qualifying agent could run off and hold the company hostage.
Well, if your qualifying agent run off,
You're
you
supposed to
need
get-
to have another
you're
one.
supposed to get another one.
Back up.
Yeah, I mean, this is
He cannot go
it's
to
kind of
class.
a policing
He
action.
cannot go to class on purpose and hold the company hostage
You need to get
because he
another
didn't,
one.
because he didn't get a raise.
Yep.
Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean,
Susan, what do you think?
Susan Ritter, and I'm with the Home Builders Association of Tennessee. I think much like when you get a traffic ticket and you have to go to the class or go take an online class, I know people will have their daughter do it, their son do it, their wife do it. You're not really able to police who is actually taking that online class. So I just keep that in the back of your mind as you're trying to figure out who actually is going to take it, because the owner could very well have his receptionist do it, could very well have, you know, somebody that has spare time go online and do any kind of program. Now, will they have the knowledge, you know, that they need to take a specific, whatever that specific class is? I don't know, but just keep in the back of your mind, you know, they're going to find ways to get around this.
Well, the question is, do you think,
I like either or.
okay, that's, okay.
Most of the home builders are their own qualifying agent.
Mhm. Can we add that?
Absolutely, yes. So either the
Well,
qualified
I mean, let's
agent.
see, is that the pleasure of the board?
The only place I was coming from, and I hope this does extend out to electrical contractors and the plumbing contractors, is just what you said. You've got a qualifying agent, and all of a sudden he's a qualifying agent for several companies, and this is the way
Supposedly that's
to.
not, yeah.
Yeah, that was the catch-all.
Yeah.
And like you said, in this situation, the homeowner, 99% of the time, I would assume,
Yeah.
is the home builder
Yeah.
is the qualifying agent, so it's a little different.
Randy, what do you think?
Would we want to say majority owner or just any owner?
That's a good point.
I think you would say majority owner, or is it designated?
So that would be any qualifying agent as well. Because I think in this state, we can have more than one.
So any designated qualifying agent or majority owner.
Gives a little flexibility. Any other
I had a
questions?
couple of, these are probably more typo or grammatic errors. On the page 2, paragraph under, it says definitions. It says prior to January 1st, 2009. I think that's supposed to be after January 1st, 2009.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. In the next paragraph down, the last sentence, it says residential construction education, parentheses, RCE, in the construction industry during the 2 year prior to the expiration of the license. I'm wondering if we should add residential in front of construction industry. So do we want this education to be residential construction related or just construction industry related? I think we're just trying to appeal to residential contractors rather than all contractors. I thought we ought to put residential in front of that. And then under sentence A for that, it says 4 hours RCE. I'm thinking we ought to add within the previous year. We don't want continuing education for 5 years ago. And then under item B, we would need to add within the previous 2 years. On the next page, paragraph 4A2, says the courses are relevant to the construction industry. I suggest we add residential construction industry, or add the word residential. Item 5, active membership in a professional trade association. I'm not so sure that I agree that just membership in a trade association is continuing education.
I believe that is set by statute, and that's kind of just a reiteration of what the statute sets out.
So the statute passed by the legislature says that you can belong to a an agent, or association and receive 4 hours credit for
Yes.
that.
An approved association. You all have to approve that association.
Right. So you may can add the word approved, but the language of statute does say active membership or membership in a professional trade association will count.
It's defined a little better in the 6A.
So how do we know if they're active or not?
And I think that's what 6A is going toward.
They wrote a check.
Six A says the association has to provide information about what they offer to their membership.
Right, so then once that trade association submits that information to the board and you determine that that's an approved association, if the licensee provides that they are a member of that association, that's assuming that they are an active member and will get them 4 hours credit.
Right, but the association should be required to keep track of those members. So let's say it's determined that attending 2 lunch and learns, attending the state board meeting, attending an on-site program, whatever that is that we define, then it's our job to keep track of it and supply that either to the licensee or to the state that this person is meeting their requirements.
Probably needs to be supplied to the licensee.
Yeah.
That way, when they submit their renewal and all their credentials, that all goes in one slick file.
But the onus will be on us to keep track of that. It'll be.
Well, it should be on the licensee too. You know,
Right.
keep up with what you're doing for your continuing education. That's part of continuing education, is take responsibility for what you need to do for your license. And hopefully that will become the norm.
The association would issue a certificate saying that they have actively participated in at least 4 hours of education. And then that licensee would turn that certificate into the state.
Yeah, let's, I want to be careful of defining that as 4 hours because it may not. Going back to the conversation we had at the last meeting, you know, our members in the home building industry are touched 12 to 15 times per month by the local, state, and national association. We can't lose that. That we've got to keep in mind that that's a part of the 4 hours or a part of 2 hours, whatever those hours are that we define as active member. So, you know, we feel very strongly that our touches with our members, who builder members must be licensed contractors, by the way, I want to point that out as well. But our members are getting information about us. They're getting information about codes changes and national requirements, lead paint programs, all that stuff comes from the association. So we can't lose sight of that. So maybe the requirement is 2 one-hour meetings per year, in addition to those 15 touches that they get from us. So I don't want us to focus on 4 hours somewhere that defines active member. Do you see what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. Those touches, do you have a quiz at the end of them? I mean, do you know they read them, or are you saying that touch is an email that you sent them?
That touch could be an email, the touch could be a e-newsletter.
Yeah, so the continuing education that I participate in is like an inspector's codes class. And at the end of that class, they give me a piece of paper that the inspector signed off on saying, you have participated in this class. We just need to verify that they actually read these things. If you put a question at the end of it, just something, that would definitely satisfy that. If we take OSHA online training, at the end of that OSHA online training, there's a questionnaire to make sure that you did it. And while we're talking about that paragraph, if we decided to stay in, after participation, it would be really nice if we could add in residential construction education. Because participating in a field day or participating in a benefit for the Boy Scouts is not what we're after here.
Well, but I would argue that that participation is geared towards the residential construction industry. And we can't rule out networking from builder to builder or builder to associate about products and services. And there's not a good way to measure that, but networking is probably, if not the first, the second reason they even joined the association in their own industry.
I agree, but remember, this rule is not about them joining your association. This rule is about continuing education for our contractors.
I understand that, but the statute says just membership qualifies. We're trying to define membership.
That's right.
And make it a little more meaty than just membership.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep. I think it's a good start. I mean, you know, if we don't have any other major things, I mean, I think we all, it's maybe a work in progress to kind of see how it goes and see how you guys are able to manage it. Might be kind of.
I will say we have, since the legislation passed, we have been to our locals. We have done nothing but talk about this. And, especially since the last meeting where we had the conversation about, if you just pay your dues, is that an active member? I would say there are a number of our local associations that definitely said yes, that is what we're looking for. But they all are aware we need to define an active member and we need to deliver something. And that's what we're working toward. I mean, we are light years from where we were before we even introduced the legislation. Our people fought that forever. So I would agree, give us time, we're going to get there. And we're going to take ownership of it, I promise.
Randy, so what happens at the end of the 2 years if you have not completed your 8 hours? Is there a grace period? Is it automatic? And we have people that forget to renew their license, leave alone continuing ed.
I would imagine that they would be moved to an inactive status until they completed that, because that's part of the prerequisites of being renewed is completing the continuing education. That's not defined in statute if that's something that the board wants to discuss, but off the top of my head, that's what I think would happen, that you didn't meet a requirement for renewal. So your license would either be expired or be moved to inactive.
Okay. And then if your license has been in retirement and you bring it out, do you have to make up the past, some continuing education, you have to make up the past hours?
We said if they've been retired 2 years or more, they don't have to go back and.
One time.
Yeah.
So they can just step right into the process,
Right.
join an association and, okay.
I mean, it'd be the same as them getting a brand new license. They're not supposed to be working for 2 years.
Right.
So.
But it has to do with your date that you got your license.
This is license in retirement.
But if you retired your license, say 2006, and you came out of retirement, you wouldn't fall into this because it's anything after 2009.
Correct.
So you could exempt.
Yeah, but the problem is if you retired your license in 2013 and I want to renew my license, I can do that with 0 continuing education.
That was my
Yeah,
question.
we shouldn't be able to.
I agree. I think you need at
You
least
should be
the
able
4
to.
hours
Yeah.
at a minimum.
That'd be part of the requirement of renewal.
Yeah. Do y'all understand what we're talking about? You go ahead and explain.
So if I retired my license in 2013 and I wanted to take it out of retirement and make it active now, I could do that with 0 continuing education.
That's the way it's currently drafted, right?
But that's not what we think
That
ought
was
to
my
happen.
question.
Well, but we're gonna start it in January 1st, 2020, and you start there and get your over the next 2 years, you gotta get 8 hours, right? So what's the difference in a retired person coming in and starting that same process?
I thought the date was 2009.
That's, if you were licensed prior to 2009, then you're grandfathered in and you don't have to
Right.
participate in continuing education.
But if you're licensed in 2013,
You technically are after 2009, so you fall under that continuing education requirement. So you would be under the same rules as a new applicant.
But a new applicant takes a test and proves his knowledge to the current code. If I've been out of the industry for 10 years, I've lost that knowledge. I've lost touch with that. Should we, I think we should at least require 4, if not the 8 hours of continuing education to be able to take your license out of retirement, to be able to reactivate your license.
If most renewals, after they're 10 years old,
I'll be quiet.
we require a retest anyway, don't
Oh, you're talking about reinstatement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
we? Reinstated, yes.
But now if it's been retired, no, right? You can take it out of retirement without a retest.
Right.
There's
the
no
law.
retest in a retired license.
Yeah, the law says you cannot be required to retest whenever you take it out of retirement.
I would think they would just fall under the same guideline as all the other contractors are gonna fall into after 2021. So if they apply before that
I agree.
goes into effect, then they don't have to have any continuing education, but after 2021,
So to take your license out of retirement, you have to show proof of 4 hours of continuing education.
starting in 2021,
Yep.
yeah.
If your license first issued after 2009.
Okay.
I got you.
Yeah, I gotta agree with what you're saying there.
I think we all like that.
Yeah.
Another question I have is, if it does go inactive, do they get a letter? What happens? Because that's going to happen.
They get a letter saying, you need this
Okay,
in order to remove.
okay.
When we send out renewals, can we not, at that point, put a little note in there?
Yes.
Reminder, if you have not, you will need to obtain your 8 hours of continuing education. And that gives them a little window from the time you send that out till it's time to expire
Yeah,
to get that.
yeah, we'll include that in the renewal package, something about that.
Is there a fee to make your license reactive? If
It's the same
inactive?
as renewal,
Okay,
it'd be $200.
it'd be the same, okay.
Any other comments or thoughts? Everybody okay with the changes that we've made?
Keith, do you want to talk about,
Home improvement?
yeah,
No, we've already covered.
oh,
So this was just a draft still though, and
Yes.
we'll do, the next meeting, you'll have something more formal or whatever?
Yes, I'll incorporate the changes that's on the sheet that you, on the page that you have, as well as what's discussed, and we present that more formally in November.
So we don't need to approve anything?
No.
All right. Is that all on that? Okay, Carolyn, budget updates.
You see, that's in your tablet. These are the figures for the closing that they just got to me. And let's see if I can find it. It's so little, but we come real close toward the end of the, I guess it was around, yeah, in June, they realized that they had not been deducting the new inspector's salaries out of our cost code. So that come out of June, so that's why that figure is so large. But our ending balance come at 65,315. And limited licensed electricians had a balance of 71,000.
So is Go Bill's already out of there?
No,
Oh, what a mistake.
Happy with that?
So what do we owe Go Bill?
well, I owe whatever's happened, 65, 30,
Okay.
32, 500. Yeah, it's not much.
Is this just a different cycle? Was it?
This is the end for fiscal year 18. And our reserve balance is 2.5 million. And half of that we're going to go bill is $32,657. Do fees, adjustments.
Has anyone looked at this new rule and what, is there a budget to it? Is that, how much that's gonna cost us? I'm just curious.
No. We had to put that it wouldn't be a physical impact.
That's it.
Anything else from your?
Oh, November 20th, which we're going to try and make it for half a day on the 19th for a formal hearing. But this is the one that's been rescheduled. That was for tomorrow. So make sure you check your calendars for November 19th and 20th. So make sure I have a quorum
And I think Kelsey Bridges is fine with one for that date as well.
for the 19th. Oh,
For the 20th.
For the 20th.
We may have a few other attorneys bring in a few cases
Yeah.
as well.
So,
If I may, let's go ahead and set it for noon, and we're always through by noon. Let's set it for noon on our first day. We might knock them all out. Or you can carry, we'd have to come back, maybe have to come back the next morning for a while, but instead of
yeah.
all day on that second.
I think from speaking to the other litigation attorneys, it looks like it may be between 4 and 5 cases total. So we may be able to knock out 2 of them on the 19th.
You mean 5 hearings, 5 separate hearings?
That's correct.
5 separate formal hearings?
That is my understanding from speaking to the other attorneys.
And we didn't do anything this time. Why couldn't they throw some this time? I'm just asking.
I had made a suggestion. I'm not sure.
They had scheduled them for tomorrow, but we didn't have a quorum for tomorrow.
We did have one set for tomorrow.
Well, historically, half of them have settled.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's just set that first one for like noon on the first day. That'll encourage us to get over quicker, and we might do business.
Y'all will be able to eat.
We can eat during the week.
Oh, yeah,
Ronnie's gotta eat.
we can eat during.
That's right.
Bring some sandwiches in or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll set it at noon.
Y'all be sure to sign what you want on that sandwich this time. Get it covered.
Carol, anything else that
I
you
think
have?
that's it.
We have a couple of gentlemen in the audience. You guys, is there something you guys are doing?
Yeah, my name's Larry Evers. I'm with Complete Electrical Services. We submitted an application last month. We were just here to see if our application was approved. It's file number 73958.
It was approved.
Thank you.
We need to check the spelling on our agenda for military.
Oh. Now, let me spell it. That was, I'm sorry. I did, I put that on the legislation update and provided, I think it's in your iPad. Well, yeah, it just, to let you all know, a law did go in effect, and someone that's in active armed forces they will be allowed to get a temporary license in Tennessee with all of our boards, including contractors, if they or their spouse gets transferred to Tennessee. And that's just to let you know that that's there now.
Do you have any of those?
Now, we've never received one. This law was in effect last year, but it was a different type. It was to expedite the license request, but we never received any. And I think that's it. Oh, and I will email you all the 2020, that sounds funny, the 2020 dates, meeting dates for next year. And so I'll be sending that out so you can check your calendar. It's usually going to be the last Tuesday of the month, as long as we get a conference.
All right, anything else?
What about do we ever get any new cards for being here? Mine's worn out.
What kind of card?
We got a little square card that says you're
40 or something?
On your ID, your state ID card? No, keep that forever.
You need to wear it out.
It wears out. I don't think they reissue those.
You wear it all the time?
Sporting it around town.
I thought we had a. Never mind, just forget it.
All right.
I'm going back to Shelby County, guys.
You stayed up too late last night.
Anything
Anything else? All right, meeting is adjourned.
Thank y'all so much.